Good? All right. Yep. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. We are here to talk about today's automotive industry. There's no better time to focus in on some of those priorities. Everything that we have right now is an opportunity. It might feel like a challenge, it might feel like an obstacle, but we are automotive, and all we do is climb stairs to get over those obstacles. So before we get there, let's introduce ourselves. So I'm Charles McDonald, and I'm with AutoAlert.
Danny Zaslavsky with VINCUE.
Okay. And for those of you who don't know, Danny, what is VINCUE all about?
It has been a lifelong dream to bring together all these siloed processes that the industry has innovated in, from confidence on appraisal to confidence on merchandising. I grew up in a car dealership, I still have one today, in confidence in acquisition, and borrowing from other industries that have figured out how to do supply chain management, really, to understand what to buy, where to buy it. And so VINCUE is vehicle lifecycle management. It is the last 20 years innovation, which is our privilege to look back on and create a system that really gives dealers weapons to win in today's modern marketplace.
I love it. I love it. So I guess you're probably wondering what AutoAlert is, and I'm going to kind of tangent off of the last thing you said, weapons. If you want ammunition, you're looking at a company like AutoAlert. For all intents and purposes, AutoAlert is a data company. But we're the OGs of automotive data and customer insights. The thing that we want to focus on is understanding the value of the customers that you already have and introduce the prospects to the brand that is your dealership. We've been doing this for a long time. We have the data, we have the insights, and now we're just reiterating that, hey, this is how you get these things accomplished. The idea of taking away the silos is the best thing for the industry. And our company, with the support of the way we understand data and we kind of march that beat, we're championing that. So yes, we want to partner with everybody that is on the same page with de-siloing this information, because if you have silos, there's no way you're going to communicate in the best way possible internally, and you're definitely not going to get the right message to your customers.
Right. That's exactly right.
So it's beyond right message, right time. It's what messages are you even able to have without those silos? So we're going to go beyond all of those different things. And, let's kick things off talking about today's market.
Let's do it.
I said there's opportunities. Other people might see challenges. What are you seeing, and where do you see the opportunities for us from a vehicle standpoint? What can dealers be actually excited about right now?
Yeah, well, you said data. Okay, so let's unpack that. We believe the algorithm for innovation is data on a screen creates behavior, because if you log in to your stock market account and you see it's crashed, you're going to have behavior that's going to change, right? If you see that it's going up, you're going to have behavior that'll change. And that's effectively what we're doing when we're making confidence decisions on acquisition, on pricing, on selling, on merchandising, all of these things. But for the longest time, you said siloed, they've been siloed in these different technologies that create different behaviors in a car dealership. Your inventory person uses one, your desk uses another, your salesperson maybe uses a tool for another. And then the consumer has a whole nother set of technology that they interact with. And for the last 10 years, I've been hearing a word called friction, right? How do we remove friction? Well, the first way to remove friction is to improve culture in a car dealership. And improving culture is by removing silos. So our whole mission at VINCUE has been connecting all of these steps in that vehicle lifecycle process, so that appraisal is connected to equity mining, so that when the customer's coming in from online to in person, the salesperson can pick up where they left off, so that when they're trying to give an offer to acquire a car, they have market information that creates confidence for the consumer. All of those things used to live in separate places, and today they live in one place. So having you guys here is a huge compliment because we've been talking, and the DNA of AutoAlert is, it's in the name. It's create equity. You're creating equity with the consumer. You're creating equity with the team, and empowering them to make deals happen. And so that's exciting.
100%. And with the equity, we want to even expand past that, right? Equity from what we understand it, especially you own a car dealership. I need to know where they're at. We found over the years that that's not the most important number. It's not the most important characterization of a customer, right? Because again, we're trying to remove silos. If we're only looking at that, we're siloing all these other insights.
I love that you're going this way. Okay.
Yeah. So we're siloing all these other insights that we have to use on the customer to get them back interested in our brand, get them back in the dealership, understand what needs need to be met. So for AutoAlert, we figured this out early on that it's more important to understand all of the data, and I don't want to say holistically, but everything surrounding that customer that we can feed off of, it's important to see that as well as the equity. So maybe you're underwater $2,500. Should I stop there? Or is it better to know more? When you're dealing with AutoAlert, we believe that it's better to know more versus taking the chance that they're $2,500 underwater. I don't need to do anything with this customer. They might not buy. There's a better chance that you don't know that because you're not considering all the other pieces of the puzzle. When you partner a company like AutoAlert and VINCUE together, you get to see a 30,000 foot of everything that could be with that customer, and then you take them into the deep funnel. I know more about what I should do with this customer because I understand what's going on with the vehicle, but I also understand everything else that's going on with the transactions they've made.
That's right.
The things they've done with my dealership.
So let's talk about that for a minute. In our world, what we've been discussing is trade cycle management, return to market. My car dealership, if I sold a customer a car, we want to make sure that we're servicing them in a way and providing data in a way that we can bring them back in a year and a half, 2 years, so they can come back and have a reason to continue to do business with us, right? I'm inspired by other companies that really understand their customers, right? Apple is an example. Trade cycle management, we're in a line to get a new iPhone before we need a new iPhone because they understand the consumer. And that is just one of many examples. And so return to market, we have customers that are with VINCUE that demand an over 50% return to market. If you've earned the customer once, it's actually easier to earn them again. But what weapons are we giving our team to be able to engage with that customer, as you said, to know that vehicle lifecycle stage, to know the customer lifecycle stage they're at. So talk about that. What is AutoAlert doing to help dealers do that?
So 100% of this is dealing on where the customer is. Our job is to centralize the customer. You have a ton of them, right? You've done business and we do want that repeat transaction. But if you don't know where they're at in their journey, it's hard to do anything. It's hard to have a plan or a strategy built around that. So AutoAlert's objective is to make sure you can take those opportunities, all the people who financially, they should be able to buy right now. Is everybody going to come to your dealership right now just because they can't afford it? Well, probably not. One, how are you going to tell all of them? Right. So it starts with communication. The next step is, what are you going to communicate to that customer? How do I initiate something to get that customer to engage back with me? And then what pieces of information am I giving them? Well, I need to give them value immediately. They do not remember me. As much as we want our individual customers to remember everything about us, there's a bigger chance that they don't. Right? Maybe this is 8 months later. Maybe this is 6 years later, right? Maybe it's just the sweet spot. It's 2.5, 3 years. They don't know their salesperson, but they do know how much they're paying for their car. They do know how their car drives. They do know that they may or may not have been to your service drive in a long time. What they don't know is what they can take advantage of today based on the market, based on what is offered for their vehicle, and based on what you can do as a dealer.
That's right. That's
the message that we're able to disseminate.
But their expectation is that we're going to serve them.
Exactly.
Their expectation is that we'll have some or all of the answer. And arming the team with the ability to provide the answer without the old school, let me go to the desk, is what I see you guys are solving.
100%. It solves the what do I need to do right now? What do I need to do today? And it's taking it from our historical process of, hey, here's the list.
Yeah.
This is the gold, right? All you got to do is call them. It's a numbers game. And that's great. That's never going to go anywhere. We're always going to prioritize the top opportunities.
So for people listening, I imagine I'd be thinking, what's in it for me? And maybe we should talk a little bit about some of the innovation that we're doing together.
Absolutely. So this whole conversation got started because of our partnership, right? Now today, live in the systems, if you have AutoAlert and VINCUE, you can now access this straight through a customer's profile. So if I'm looking at someone's vehicle and I see that, not only are they in a position to upgrade, it might be even better because I can actually check VINCUE, click one button, and see, hey, let's go ahead and get a real trade evaluation done on this vehicle right now in real time.
So let's pause on that for a minute, because that's a big deal. Because if you think about confidence, right? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to create, is for the consumer to have confidence and for the associate to have confidence to be able to create a transaction. And so by joining these two companies in this technology, we are now able to, on the VINCUE side, see, have we ever appraised this car before? Have we ever owned this car before? When did we initially sell this vehicle? With AutoAlert's information, we can then, with the help of your equity side and your CRM side, be able to then seamlessly pass it, put a number on the vehicle, and then create presentations, create email campaigns, do all these communications between the associate, whether it be in Service Drive, whether it be on the variable side, and all this is happening in a process where before it was, let me slow down and let me piece all this together just so I can do something for you. And as we all know, time kills deals. And so that to me is really exciting.
That's 100% the idea. A process that's going to help you guys create more actions for your team. And we need to remove some of that friction. Some of the friction is just human interaction, right? We're not saying we need to replace everything, but certain things can be done more effectively when there is a process put in place.
For scale, absolutely.
So when we made this partnership, it made sense before we even got the coders together, right? Of course, we're going to put this together because it creates that seamless transaction of information. Once we have that, now we're off to the races. Our salesperson has a more confident conversation. But our management knows what conversation they're having because, okay, they just sent for an appraisal. Cool. I already know what this car is. I know why they're even on this, talking to this customer in the first place.
And that vehicle's tied in our world to our buy plan, meaning the dealer already knows, how have I done on vehicles like this? Is this a vehicle I want to buy? Is this a vehicle I can step up in for the customer, right? Because we don't want to train our team members to try to steal cars. We want to train them to win customers. There's a big difference.
So let's talk about that. Let's go right into acquisition, right? The buy plan. What is that doing for dealers as far as knowledge? I'm stuck on this. It's better to know than to leave stuff to chance. So when a dealer is looking at that, what are they actually able to see?
Well, okay, so let's talk about the old way of doing it, right? So the old way was measuring how you did. It was lagging indicators. And the trouble with that is when you look at your own sales, it's an echo chamber. It's a treadmill. You're running in place. If you buy more of what you sell and sell more of what you buy. But then you add other old data like market day supply, which basically says if no more come into the market, how long will it take for them all to disappear? But it has nothing to do with your store. And that has been the method for nearly 20 years. So we said, how do we get down to a trim level so that we understand the difference between an F-150 Lariat and an XLT as it relates to the market and as it relates to your dealership's ability to ingest and digest that car profitably, okay? So what we did is we created a central engine that looks at every year, every make, every model, all the way down to trim, brings in obviously your own sales, but brings in market demand data. What are consumers interested in buying and transacting on? Competitor data. What are other dealers in your market selling that if you owned it, would you meet that demand? CRM data to know what leads are you getting VDPs on, what vehicles are you getting leads on, as well as your own sales data and Google Analytics data to know VDPs from them. All of this is being assigned a value to every year and every make and every model. And so at point of appraisal, you know, is this a vehicle I need? How have I done on vehicles like this? And what is the predictive days to sale if I buy this vehicle? And all that's at a glance. And so now you pair that, right, with the associate's ability to provide an instant offer, to create a campaign to scale to either an individual store or a group. That's really cool.
100%. So on the other side of that, while that's happening, because you're providing every piece of strategy from a vehicle standpoint for the dealer to know, okay, this is what I need to do. Now, on the AutoAlert side, the dealer's like, okay, these are the cars I'm going after. This is what I need. Where are they? Mm-hmm. Click. Here's every vehicle, per those parameters, per that score, that you can feasibly have access to, because they're already in your database.
Because you have the library.
You have the library of every vehicle that's right
so
there.
So let's match it to the buy plan.
Boom. So now when you do that, I hit go in the AutoAlert system. It tasks the team to work on those types of customers, because not only am I identifying, hey, this is where the car is, this person that is driving this car is also already in a position to upgrade and keep their payment about the same with no money down.
Yep.
And it's the car you already want, and you already sold them. Well, let's take it a step further. Well, have they been in my service drive? Is there an open recall? Are they in my service drive right now? Did they pay more than $500? I have several different conversations of confidence that I can have, knowing it's a car that I already need to buy. Then, if I bring them back into the dealership with a yes conversation, right? Recalls. There are recalls. They're not going away. Did you know about it? Here's what we can do to fix it.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost anything.
You're serving the customer instead of trying to steal the car.
Right. And it gives you the ability as a dealer to start forecasting.
That's right.
Well, how many of these do I need to acquire to hit X amount of objectives that I have for my store? How do I get to the next tier of my bonus level? If I'm isolating these model-specific goals that you can chart out in AutoAlert, hey, I need this, this, and this. This is going to help me get 17 more of these vehicles.
Yep. And in the meantime, we can see on the VINCUE side, when did we acquire it? How long did we have it? How well did we perform on it relative to my auction buys, to my trades? And so I hope for those that are watching and listening, maybe it's a little uncomfortable because you do it a certain way today and you're not used to doing it in a more modern way. But I remember the days of waking up and having to log on to the auction and thinking about what I should buy and then leaving with what I could buy. There's a big difference, right? Yes. I had to because I needed to walk away with a truck full of cars, but were they on the list that I made? Often not. But when we can mine our own opportunities, the ones that we've earned, and create a process that then has a better outcome on gross in turn, and our customers end up happier because they've gone through less friction, that is the end goal.
And it puts everybody in a position of the expert.
Yeah.
Our customers, as a dealer, you're a dealer, your customers come to you because you're an expert at dealing with cars. They don't come to you to get groceries. They don't come to you to learn about anything other than vehicles. So it behooves you to present yourself that way. People buy not just because of your offering, because of your belief in that offering. Mm-hmm. This goes back to what you were saying about the culture.
Yeah.
The power of knowing is that skills development. It is that confidence in the information that's in your system. Mm-hmm. But the system's doing it for you. Now you get to focus on what your team wants to do, right? They want to score goals. They want to hit home runs. Let me put the ball right in front of you so you can do that. Let me hand the ball off to you on the half-inch line. That's what these systems and these types of technologies are able to do. We don't have to teach you how to sell at that point. That's
we empower. We empower.
Yeah, you've already sold cars. I don't have to teach you that again. But what I can do is remove all the friction, remove all the inefficiencies, so you can do that early and often and find new and more creative ways to do that. And all that does for the vantage point of your customer is, hey, that dealership's got it.
And I watched it happen in action. I was in Minnesota at one of our partner dealerships, Feldman Mercedes. Joe is such an innovator. And I stood there in a service drive and I watched AutoAlert and VinCue work together. And I was so proud to see your logo in our system and our logo in your system, and the ability for them just to click and instantly get a number and create a presentation, and for that customer to get a value. Because, think about it. For anybody listening, if you wanted to know as a consumer what your car is worth, now it's pretty easy, right? There's like 6 places I can name off the top of my head. But now imagine that customer coming to you and trying to get an offer. What's your process? How clumsy is it for your team to produce a number and then follow up with what I would call a forever value, so that consumer can always know that there's an opportunity to transact? Because as dealers, we have always thought, gosh, if we're not buying your car, we're almost offended. And if the customer gets a value they don't like, they're offended. That's actually not the way it works. The way it works is us giving you a value is a value. It gives you a floor to be able to then say, cool, maybe now's not the right time, but maybe it will be in 3 months or in 6 months. And by the way, the values change.
Yes.
And having that connection and empowering young entrants into automotive to behave like veterans, so they have the data in front of them so that you can scale everyone, that's magical.
Yes. It's that making the connection with the new user and getting them to believe in the better way to do things. Because you've been in sales for however many years long. Stepping into the dealership without having that background is very different. Right? You don't have to unlearn anything. All you have to do is learn what's now. They can skip all the steps.
Yeah.
Now we're teaching process. We're teaching system. Hey, do it this way, and this is the outcome.
Yep.
Do it this way, and this is the outcome, and there's no rub. So that new user experience is as important as the overall customer, because that creates the customer experience.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the service drive, I bet you do want to get a notification if Danny comes in and he's your customer and he can save money and get into a new
I want to know what my car's worth, and I want to know what my options are.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean I have to do something, but having the ability to do it. And can I tell you how awesome it is for a fixed individual to now have a way to win twice? Yes. Because not only are they still going to get to fix the car, they're going to get to help variable own the car. So they win twice.
Yes.
And I don't think that automotive has fully adopted that. We have we're really proud about this. In 3 weeks, we are launching our very first Acquisition 20 group with NCM and VinCue. And this topic is one of the hottest topics. So I'm excited for you guys to be a part of that. But I feel like the timing is now, because the transaction will happen. And the question is, are you empowering your team to make those transactions happen and to win those customers and win those experiences? Or are you allowing somebody else to?
Yeah. It comes down to what's your plan, because there's no getting around it. You need to understand how to acquire vehicles. You need to understand how to work your database. You also need to understand how to upscale your brand, value your brand out, because it is no longer a loyalty by default situation out there anymore.
No, because there's options.
There's so many options, and the access to those options is right at our fingertips.
That's right.
So what is going to get you to get your people to come back, right? Do you just want to sell cars for the sake of selling cars, or do you want to sell generations of cars?
That's right.
You want to sell audiences.
And can I share some metrics? So something we think about is number of ROs to transactions. Transactions could be an acquisition, but it also could be a trade. And the benchmark we care about is 3 to 5%. Some of our top performing dealers are converting 5% of all their ROs to a transaction. So imagine that, right? That's a big number. 1,000 ROs a month. You're buying 50 cars additional a month. That's a big deal. So The other metric is the return to market number. And so you mentioned something earlier. You guys have a list inside of your system that allows a dealer to understand who can we bring back to market, right? And so when VINCUE starts applying some predictive AI, now it gets really cool. That's all I'm going to say on that, but there's some really cool stuff coming.
Yeah. I mean, the signals are everywhere. You know what I mean?
Signals are everywhere, aren't they?
and that's one of the beauties of our industry. We have the opportunity to use what we know, partnered with modern technology, right? So, you know, I'll kind of leave you with this story. It's a service drive story, but this is the power of technology and process, right? One of our dealers has an automated task set up. This allows them to task their team to do things that they want to do without having to interview and explain every single day, Danny, I need you to work on this. Danny, I need you to work on this. It just populates in their task list. But this happened because a customer did something. So nobody at the dealership was involved in this except for the customer coming to service. They paid their bill and then they went home. In our system, that triggered a notification to that customer. Send them an email like, hey, we value your loyalty. Thanks for being a loyal customer. We saw that you came in on this vehicle and it has all this and you actually paid X amount. We really like that car. We're even willing to give you that money back if we can get that car. That email was automated. Salesperson A didn't do a thing. That happened. Customer emails right back. It's like, hey, I was in there. Actually, I did pay that, and if you're willing to recoup that, here's my KBB on my vehicle. I already know what it's worth.
Yep, of course they do.
Let's do it. Again, salesperson hasn't done anything yet. Now what the salesperson gets is a notification. Hey, customer A is ready to go. He was just in here. We know his exact miles. He's valued his
confidence.
He's valued his car. I can click VINCUE and really value his car. We did see it, so I can talk to the mechanic who was on it.
So what are you actually working on? The highest value task, which is the consumer experience.
What day can you come in?
That's right.
Now we're having that conversation. It's a customer that's showing us its loyalty. And we're showing them the brand. So there's so much more we could talk about. We're going to do this again. We can go into different avenues. But right now is the time for dealers, in my opinion, and I think the industry's opinion, to refocus, centralize that customer and understand what you have from a vehicle standpoint and really start to tune up your vehicle lifecycle management.
Or somebody else will.
All right, so you want to leave dealers with anything else?
Yeah, so I mean, I get the most education when I team up with somebody who's already winning, right? So I know they can reach out to you. I know they can reach out to me on LinkedIn, on social, on VINCUE.com, on AutoAlert.com. But I would love to connect anybody who's curious with somebody who's already winning, who has already figured it out, and who is interested in scale at this point. Because whatever rung of the ladder you're on, there's more to go. Because we're growing the variable side, but now we're creating this return to market through the fixed side. And I do think that is the next frontier.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point. If you want to learn about this from the mouth of a dealer, hit both of us up. Hit up Danny on all of his socials. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit us up. You can go to our websites. You can hit us up on LinkedIn personally. We will connect you with the dealer that is already doing this right now, and you can hear from them.
Thanks, man.
Till next time, take care.